What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Rip City Rundown podcast. This is our first podcast in a couple of weeks. We've kind of took a break over the All-Star break. The last one was reaction to the trade deadline. So in a way, we have a lot to talk about, but also not a lot has been going around about the Blazers recently. So we'll do a little mailbag pod today. We put on the Instagram to ask us some questions, and we got a good amount of questions that we'll be answering today. Obviously, we don't have Cody today. He is not available to do this podcast today, so it'll just be me and West. How are you feeling, West? Blazers play in like a little under an hour.
Yeah, we got the Nuggets at home. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's home or away. It might be away.
Could be away. Well, anyway, I'm doing good. You kind of the part of the season where we will probably be the most irrelevant as a franchise because, like, it's after the trade deadline. We're literally done until the summer, and we're really honestly trying to lose games. And that's been evidenced by certain players not being available anymore. And just, organizationally, I think that's the direction we're going. So, no one's really paying attention to the Blazers right now. Obviously, Anfernee Simons has been a very, very, very big bright spot for this team. He's given great defenders like Drew Holiday just the absolute cookies. He's just been killing these guys. So that's been good to see. But other than that, it's just not much to talk about, not much to be excited about these days. Just kind of waiting until the summer, which is when the magic's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess the only big thing to come out recently, and you alluded to that, holding out players, maybe Nurkic is out for like a month.
He isn't injured, correct? Foot?
A plantar fasciitis in his foot. A couple sources have told us personally that the injury might not be as serious as you would think, but it's more precautionary. And right now, given the fact that we're obviously not trying to win anything big this year, we can afford to be precautionary. So might as well just keep him out and lose some games. So
yeah, well, look, here's the thing about that. Obviously the Blazers have a long history with big men and injuries, specifically in the lower parts of the body, like the foot or the ankle. So the Blazers can definitely spend this and be like, look, we're protecting Nurk. We want to keep him here, which I think they probably want to at this point, unless, a fantastic deal comes along. But you want to protect your big man. If he's, a little injured, a little sore in the foot or whatever plantar fasciitis is, I'm not a doctor. Whatever it is, you want to be precautionary. And it helps with losing games. So they definitely had that in mind. But they're not just sitting him and he's healthy. He's definitely hurt. So before we get the conspiracy theories going, guys.
Yeah, I think he had been playing through it a little bit.
There's just no need.
Kind of similar to what like Dame's injury. Like you could shut him down and go ahead and just get him healthy. Might as well go ahead and do that now.
Exactly.
Actually, something else did happen 6 days ago. Wow. Since our last podcast revolving around the roster, we released Dennis Smith Jr. and we also signed Trendon Watford to a 4-year deal, officially getting him off of that two-way deal, giving him 4 years, $5 million.
Good for him.
For Watford.
I actually tweeted out when that happened. I was just like, good for him. Happy for him. He's worked really hard this year. He's been one of those guys that flies under the radar, but slowly over the year, the start of the year when he got the ball in his hands, I was like, no. And now, I'm confident with the ball in his hands. Makes good decisions, plays within himself. I think he definitely deserves the contract. So I'm very happy for him that he got on a guaranteed deal.
I think if you look like in 3 years when he's still on a $1 million deal, that'll look like a really good contract.
And if it doesn't work for us, good trade piece. That sounds a little cynical, but that's the business.
Yeah. That's really all that's gone on over the past week or two. So I guess we'll go ahead and jump into this mailbag unless you got something else.
We can save it for the end unless you want to do it before the mailbag. It's up to you.
I don't know what you're talking about. So.
Well, I just wanted to talk about some of our plausible options to draft this summer, just because I watched them over the weekend.
Let me I think that actually is one of our questions.
If that's one of the questions, that's a perfect segue into this mailbag.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and segue into the mailbag.
Beautiful.
Question from Alex Apicella. And his question is potential draft targets, question mark. So, I'll go ahead and give the floor to you.
Well, let's start with depends on where we are. I know that's thank you, duh, but it depends. If we're in the top three, you got three guys you're going for. If you're not in the top three or top four, then you got to look a little farther down. Obviously, the top three guys have gotten a lot of noise, so we'll for the exercise for the question, we'll say we are in position to draft whoever we want. We'll say that, okay? So we have Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, and Jabari Smith.
Yeah, those are the consensus top three currently. And
Now I've watched all three of them in the past 2 weeks. I actually saw Paolo in person. I went to the Duke Clemson game just for the kicks. Completely just dogged Clemson. He's a man among boys. He's a beast. However, I like Jabari the most. Most NBA ready, in my opinion. I mean, that dude is 6'10", can shoot. And I watched a road game at Tennessee over the weekend, and he was everywhere around the rim. Him and Walker Kessler's the other big at Auburn. They just are dynamic 1-2 punch. He honestly gives me a lot of Evan Mobley vibes, but can shoot.
No, yeah. I mean, his wingspan, I think he has a 7'4" wingspan or something like that. And there was a game where I was talking to somebody who's an Auburn fan recently, and he said over this past week he was 15 of 19 from three.
That's insane.
Scary.
That's insane. And Auburn honestly should have won that game, but I did tweet out that the Auburn guard sucked. So I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. See.
Yeah, I was watching the game and I was like, wow, you got to get the ball to Jabari Smith. Number 2, I'm taking Paolo again, and it's less because Paolo is good and more I just do not trust Chet Holmgren with that frame.
Yeah, it's a scary build. It's high risk, but possibly with a high reward.
He got dogged against St. Mary's last night. Yeah. He's getting dogged. So Jabari Smith is the prize though for me. What about you? You agree?
I think, yeah, Jabari is definitely the guy I want the most, but I think Paolo is number 2 if he's in a position to draft. I think the consensus is we want to get a wing or possibly a center if that comes, because I've seen some mock drafts on ESPN that has us taking a guard, taking us Ty Washington or Peyton Ivey.
Oh, stop!
I think they're great prospects.
Jaden Ivey is good. I've watched him. He's got some Ja Morant to his game. Yeah. Little twitchy, very explosive in the open floor. Really works the mid range, but I'm sorry, we don't need a guard.
Yeah,
this is in the NFL.
As I look at the big board right now. I'm on using Tankathon. Jabari's obviously 1, Paolo 2, another Duke guy, AJ Griffin, small forward. He's been shooting the ball lights out recently. I can kind of like him. And then also Keegan Murray. He's more of a guy that's been in college for 3 years, or maybe this is his 4th year. I'm not sure. Power forward out of Iowa. He's possibly the leader for Player of the Year this year. So,
what are your thoughts?
There's options. I just want to make sure we get ourselves what we need. I think fit is big here.
What are your thoughts on a Johnny Davis from Wisconsin?
I like Johnny Davis. I've watched him a lot recently.
6'5".
The thing is, he plays bigger than he is. He averages 9 rebounds a game. We end up in the top 5. I don't want to take him. If we
agreed, it's all about value.
10s area, and he's the best available, then I'm taking him over a guard.
What about Benedict Mathurin
from Arizona? He's a long guy. Is he
6'6"?
Is he a small forward?
He is. It's just wing sophomore, 6'6". I would say small forward.
Again, I think he's like Johnny Davis. Those are one of those guys that I would take if we're in if we're the 8 through 12 range. If I do Tankathon right now, let's just do a Tankathon on my phone right now. Where do we get? We get the New Orleans pick and we get our own pick at 8.
See, that honestly, that's the most likely scenario.
What if we package those and move up? Would that be something you would be willing to do? I don't know. It would
have to be for someone better than Jeremy Grant. I'll tell you that right now.
No, I mean package those up and move up to the top 3 to get yourself a Jabari Smith.
Yeah, I would do that.
I think if you're guaranteed to get at least Paolo or Jabari, you do that. But you're not doing that to move up to 5.
I think Jabari is far and away the best prospect in the draft. But yeah, that's my answer to that question. That was a little drawn out, but there you
go. Another question from that same person, Alex Apicola. Starting lineup when Dame is healthy.
Is it okay? This is another tough one. Because I could guarantee you there's a guy who's going to start next year that's not on the team right now.
Yeah.
So
I'll just say with this current roster and the draft pick, or, we'll go for next year. Like you said, you don't know where that person's going to be, but I think Dame and Ant are going to start. And if not, Ant's going to come off the bench. I do think we bring
yeah,
back Nurkic. I think
I agree.
Nurkic will be starting at center. I think we'll draft somebody to start at the 3 or 4, and I think we'll sign
Nasir,
somebody.
you have Nasir.
Nasir too.
Nasir could start.
It's a lot of
Nasir could
flexibility.
start.
It's
I
kind of the
think
theme we've been talking about.
ideally, yeah, that is the theme. Ideally, I think it's Dame and either a draft or Nasir or MLE guy. The prize free agent acquisition in the offseason. That would be hopefully right now it's looking like it's Jeremy Grant, although there will be someone else who becomes available. Just that's the way the playoffs work. Someone's going to become disgruntled. Someone's going to want out. If the Celtics get bounced early, get the whispers for Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Would you send the 8 and 10 pick for Jaylen Brown?
Yes, I think 8 and 10. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would too. So, but tough to tell. I do think Dame and Nurk, if they are on the team, if we re-sign Nurk, they are shooting starters. I really think Ant's going to start. He's shown too much to come off the bench with a contract extension.
Yeah, and he'll definitely get a big contract for sure.
Speaking of Anthony, quickly. Speaking of Anthony, did you see his comments about wanting to stay in Portland?
No.
Basically, he just pledged loyalty to Portland. It was like, I don't want to speak out of like words out of his mouth because I didn't read it super closely, but I would think the gist of it was he was wanting to stay in Portland. He thinks it's the best fit for him. So that's good. The Dame loyalty is rubbing off.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of loyalty, did you see Dame's interview with Draymond Green?
I did, about CJ.
It was I watched the whole hour of it, or I was just listening to it in the car. This is a lot of funny comments from that thing.
Just in general?
Dame was I don't know why people don't want to come to Portland. People have gone to OKC before, and OKC is definitely not better than Portland.
And
he was talking about, he was just there's a reason he wants to stay. It's not just he has a life in Portland. It's a lot harder than you think just to pick up your bags and move somewhere else suddenly.
Yeah, I mean, look at Chris Paul. Man's been on so many different teams and finally got a Western Conference Finals on the Suns. I mean, I don't know. Basically, the point is the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
I think that's exactly what Dame said.
No, well, I didn't watch it, but that's pretty much what he's saying, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was saying he's pretty confident in the plan they have going into the summer. But he also
the
said
other
it's
thing
just one of
too,
those where he has to wait and see. So.
It's Dame's one of the only players who is outwardly loyal. I think he's built his brand and his image so much that if he did leave Portland, I think he's kind of backed himself into staying in Portland. I could be wrong. He could do whatever he wants, but I think that's kind of something to think about.
I want to make a whole video about this, just a separate video, but it's just the double standard that not Blaze fans, NBA fans, casual fans have toward Damian Lillard. They get so mad at KD for leaving and all these people for not being loyal, but now they're making memes about Dame for staying with the grind and staying in Portland. But if he leaves, you're going to say that he's ring chasing because he's not just going to leave and want to go to another small market. If you're telling him to leave, he deserves to go to a bigger market.
I call it the Laker paradox. Actually, you have the Lakers are a super team, but at the same time old and washed. Kind of funny, but you just got to ignore the comments that are obviously made without any thought behind them. But all right, next question before we go too far into that.
We got 2 people that asked this. Theodore _Vorse said, what free agent signings would you like to get this summer? And before I asked this question, I looked up a list because the free agent class this year is kind of weak, honestly. It's a lot of restricted free agency. I do think the biggest move that the Blazers will make is in a trade, kind of like going after Jeremy Grant again or other disgruntled stars. But 2 guys that I've seen that are restricted and the Blazers could just throw a bunch of money at them and hope that they sign it and the other team doesn't match is DeAndre Ayton and then Miles Bridges out of obviously Charlotte. because like right now the 10th or the ninth best free agent this summer is Yusuf Nurkic. There's a
Wow.
ton of restricted free agents. But
Wow.
those are the two that I would see us most realistically going after.
Yeah, so I guess we're restricting well, sorry, we're just this class. Like it's not gonna be like, oh, like Jaylen Brown wants out. I want Jaylen Brown. That
Yeah,
doesn't count.
no,
All
because
right, well it's go ahead. What are you gonna
that's
say?
like too. I was gonna say that's just too hard to predict.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll go Jeremy Grant's on the list.
Yeah, because I think that's
That's
realistic at least.
that's realistic. They were very close to doing a deal, but I think the Pistons didn't want to do it because they wanted to see where our pick was going to be in the Pelicans pick. I so Jeremy Grant. Wouldn't
I
be
don't think
opposed to Miles
I don't think
Bridges.
Jaylen Brown is gonna end up being available. I mean,
No, I don't either. But that I
they're really
mean,
turning
yeah,
around
yes,
in
who I
Boston.
wanted. So yeah, they're doing good. I mean, if they have a first round exit, yeah, you never know. I would say Ayton doesn't make a lot of sense if we were keeping Nurk, obviously. If you're moving on from Nurk and throwing the bag at Ayton, then yeah, you do it. I say you do it. I would say Jeremy Grant's the list, honestly. That's known. Everything else is too hard to predict.
I mean, I don't think in free agency at least we're going to be making any
Gordon
splash
Hayward, maybe.
moves. I think it's more going to be in trades is the splash moves, and then free agency is like
Okay.
the key pieces. It's going to be similar to all the signings we made, and as bad as the offseason was in 2016 for the future, that was when we did bring all of our role players in the Evan Turner, Mo Harkless, Alfred Camino. That ended up
Look,
being big for our team over the next
yeah,
4 years.
I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I just don't want to be. I don't need Joe Cronin to sell us the fact that Nick Stauskas is our premier free agent. Okay. Like the Neil Shea days are gone, man. You gotta go for the title here. Let's go.
Let's see here. Next question from Jude Hampton _. It's a pretty broad question. We've kind of been alluding to it the whole time. Where do you see Portland next season? So let's just say like what's like I would assume you think we're gonna be back in the playoffs.
I do. I think I don't want to be like homerish because I'm the fourth seed. Like I don't know, but the West is considerably weaker than the East right now, which is interesting because the West has been really the better conference for a long time. You have Golden State, you have the Suns, the Jazz. We'll see what D Mitch does. You know, you've heard things come out of Utah, Denver. I think Denver will be good next year, getting healthy. I'll say the 5 or 6 seed. I mean, I'll say the 5 or 6 seed. I think it could be better, but I don't want to be like just say we're gonna get the 1 seed or something. I think
The real question is, do you think that like obviously Dame's prime is dwindling and his just career like time's not on his side. Like, do you think next year is going to be his best year winning a championship, or do you think that comes 3 years down the road?
wow, man, I'm gonna say 3 years down the road.
I'll probably agree with you.
I think people need to realize that, like this draft is going to be big because it's like the 1 year we're okay with tanking. So you got to stop winning games, and like if you draft a top 6 guy who can become a fringe all-star by year 3, then you have Dame. Hopefully, Ant's a fringe all-star by then, another fringe all-star, and then maybe it becomes more of an attractive destination for free agents, and you get like good role players that can like we were talking about this the other day. Me and my friends, like PJ Tucker, Jay Crowder, guys like that, are like they make every team better because they just do things to help you win, like make threes and play defense. Like PJ Tucker is perfect for that Heat team. Literally plays such hard defense. I'm sorry, but we don't have one of those right now. Like Nasir Little could be that guy. He could be that guy, but he hasn't proved it over the course of years. So we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 3 years down the line, though.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that if we are going to be winning a championship, it's not going to be with Dame carrying. It's going to be like Dame could still be the best player, but you got another guy averaging 25. It could be Simons. You're just gonna need a lot of good players around him for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Kind of like Dirk on the 2011 Nets.
Yeah, that's the way I want to see Dame win a championship.
Yeah, with one team his whole career, and then you kind of take a back seat, still play an important part, but you're not averaging 40 in the playoffs, or even 30, or probably even 20.
We got one from Rip.City Official. He said, "How much cap space have we opened up for next season?" I think the answer to that is I think we're around like $60 million right now in cap space, which is insane.
And that is before signing Nurk and Ant.
Yeah, that's
like right now. That's not including like an Ant, or that's like an Ant contract extension would eat into that space.
But there is, I think we can. It's either Nurk or Ant. I don't know which one. I think one of them you could like. It's fine if we go over the cap space to sign them.
I think it's got to be Ant, right? I could be wrong though. I'm not super well versed in the salary cap, like just all the like nooks and crannies of it. Like obviously, general cap space and luxury tax and the repeater and all that stuff. But like, I'm not like, like because we signed Nurk during the off season, we have his bird. Like I don't know that stuff.
I think the key is, it's kind of like a blessing and like kind of scary having this much cap space because it's like that just means
like 16 all over again.
You've got to spend that money. You don't want to end up fielding a team and having $30 extra million in cap space. So that money could go too much to some places, or it's just you really have to trust the office.
That's true, but we haven't had this opportunity in a while. Mm-hmm. We've been giving it to players who are good that are like the whole point is roster balance here. So I think the front office would be insane, like mentally insane, if they like clear all this space just to sign more guards. Like I think because they cleared this space, traded CJ, traded Norm, like they're following through with more roster balance. Like you're getting Dame and Ant at $10 million cheaper than Dame and CJ, which is a full starter, more or less. 10 mil was arguably a starter, like your fourth or fifth option. Mm-hmm. That's huge. And Ant's going to be better, in my opinion. There, I said it.
Speaking about Ant, we got another question. Danny Goose 901.
Danny Meringue. The Danny Meringue. That's the question.
Will Simons be an all-star within the next 5 years?
Oh, man,
it's tough.
So here's the thing you gotta keep in mind. He's doing this without Dame on the floor. I'm not saying he can do it, but Dame's going to have a lot of the ball. Mm-hmm. Simons is probably not going to be averaging 25 with Dame on the floor. I think another big if is how good the Blazers are as a team. If you're a top 3 seed, you can get more than one all-star. And it would be Dame and Ant. So I'm going to say yes. I know.
Yes too. I think he gets one time, just at least once.
I think there's one time the next 5 years, Blazers are like the 2 seed at the trade at the All-Star break, and Dame's averaging 22 and Ant's averaging 21, and they're winning games. That's the thing. We've been the 8th seed for so long. They're going to give 2 undersized guards All-Star appearances. Ant's a little more flashy than CJ. I don't know. I'm going to say yes. It's a good question, though. It's a good question.
Yeah. I think the rest of these questions are going to – like we have other questions that make sense or we haven't said, but they're kind of the same thing. So the last 2 questions are from the same person. It's Westland Rap Backup. Interesting account.
Nice. Love it.
We'll go with – they both have to do with Ant. First one is, what is the expected contract Anthony should get next season? We've kind of alluded to this before. It'll probably be somewhere in the low 20s, maybe high teens.
Yeah.
I would say 20 million is probably
I think 20 is the starting point. I think Simons will probably end up getting 22, 23.
I mean, he'll get a lot of money. He's playing
a year, right? A year.
He could be most improved player. He is averaging, or he is bumped his scoring up the most in the NBA. It's like 9.3 points he's bumped it up.
Would you give Ant 4 years, 80 mil?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go. I think that could be the deal you see.
Yeah.
And You can't go. What was CJ's deal? 4 years, 120 or something.
Something. It was $30 million.
Something.
So that sounds
something absurd. So.
Last question that we'll talk about today is again from the Westline Wrap backup account, and it's a pretty good question because it actually makes you think a lot. If we were forced to only keep one, should we let Anthony walk or trade Dame? Because that has to do with keeping Dame because he's your best player. It has to do with Anthony so much younger. That's hard. If you had to pick one, I think I know what I would do.
I think we're thinking the same thing.
I think I would keep Anthony because if you traded Dame, the amount of stuff you would get in return is insane.
You're getting a haul. And
this question specifically is not saying trade Anthony. It's just letting Anthony walk this summer, which is like worst case scenario.
You can't let him walk. You can't do that LaMarcus Aldridge treatment, get nothing in return for your top 3 player on your team. Yeah, I would trade Dame. It makes the most sense for the franchise. That would never happen, obviously. This is just an exercise, but it's like, wow, that's so hard. Ant's younger. Ant would be more on the timeline of like a young, rebuilding-ish team. You'd get so much stuff for Dame. Yeah, that pains me to say that, but that's what I would do.
That's all the questions we have. We'll end talking quickly about Damian Lillard because a report came out about him, or not a report, like news from the Blazers about his injury. It says Dame has progressed through the initial phase of his rehab. He's getting back to conditioning and shooting around and stuff, and he'll be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. Now, a lot of people saw this news and was like, okay, 2 to 3 weeks. Dame's going to be back soon, and we're going to make a push. Should we let Dame come back and make a push? They purposely use the words reevaluated for a reason. That just means that just pushes it back more and more. They don't have to give the time. They can say, oh, he's going to get reevaluated here, and then in 3 weeks, he's going to say reevaluated in 3 weeks again.
Reevaluate is just saying, 2 more weeks.
Yeah, Dame practically confirmed, and not really, but in the article, or not article, the interview with Draymond Green, Draymond was like, do you think you'll be back this year? And he's just like, well, with the state we're in and the goals we have for the season, I'm going to play it by ear. Basically saying our goal isn't to win. Yeah,
reevaluate is just
great word.
You are business. you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes, but it's you are still hurt. You got to sit for 3 more weeks. But yeah, I don't anticipate him coming back. I think Nurk's done for the year. It's going to be Ant, Greg Brown, and the boys.
He did sign Drew Eubanks.
I saw that. He's an Oregon State guy.
I didn't even know that.
He went to Oregon State. I was looking at his profile the other day. I thought he was decent on the Spurs.
Did you watch Timbers Day or yesterday?
Yeah. Well, no, but I saw the bike. It was sick.
Yeah, I didn't really watch any of it either. But the jerseys are clean.
Did you watch Atlanta?
Not really. I watched a little bit of it. I saw the game icer. But yeah, I think that's all we got. Blazers play in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Probably go watch that. Maybe if we have a big game in the future, we might do a in-game live stream again.
Hey, honestly, actually, keep talking. Keep talking for a second.
Okay. But we go to Denver. They're favored by 8.5. We've got a tough little stretch coming up. We got Nuggets, Suns, Timberwolves twice, then the Jazz. If we play our cards right, we lose all 5. We'll do a quick standings watch here before I give it back to you. Quick standings. We are currently still in the play-in. We are 1 game ahead of the Pelicans, 1.5 ahead of the Spurs, and 4 ahead of the Kings. And then for the tank watch, we currently have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th worst record in the league, which I don't love, but I could see us dropping down all the way to the 5th by the end of the year. Maybe 4th.
What I was going to say was, I know which game we should live stream. It should be the Pelicans Trailblazers game.
When is that?
March 30th. I thought it was really soon, so I thought we would be together, but
If we were to do one really soon, though, let me go to the schedule real quick.
You could do
Probably a
the
weekend
Timberwolves. It'd have to be the Timberwolves. Saturday, March 5th.
Saturday, March 5th. Yeah, it will be the Timberwolves. Maybe we do a little. Oh, wait. In just 2 weeks, or a little over 2 weeks, I will be attending the Hawks Blazers game.
That is fun stuff right there.
So I will get video footage from that and whip up a little video revolving around that. I think we got pretty good seats, if I'm not, or if I remember right. But the Blazers are just trucking along. Starting lineup tonight. Keon Johnson is getting his first start tonight.
Wow.
Wait, who's he replacing the starting lineup?
Is that game at home?
No, it is away.
It's at Denver.
Yeah, I mean last time.
No, it's at the Moda Center. It's at the Moda Center.
Oh, it is?
The Moda Center.
Oh,
yeah.
I lied. But let's see. Wait, starting lineup tonight is Simons, Hart, Keon Johnson, CJ Elleby, and Drew Eubanks. So maybe Justice Winslow's hurt or something. Greg Brown is available, but Winslow, Bledsoe, Ingles, Lillard, Little, Luzada, and Nurkic are all out. So it shall be a fun one to watch.
Big injury report. Yeah, I'll check in a little bit.
Yeah.
I got an exam tomorrow I have to study for. So.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it I'll be watching. I'll be surprised if the final score will even be on the Instagram tonight. But that'll do it for this episode of the podcast. Hope you still enjoyed it, even though it was just us two. The mailbag episode, if your question was included. Thank you for asking the question, and
appreciate it.
Your question was included. We'll probably do another podcast in about a week or two. We'll probably get back in the swing of things. Just took a little break over the All-Star break to just recharge the batteries. So we'll see you next time. Hopefully all three of us will be here. Peace.